Good morning. My name is Lorraine from Chat and Craft with Lorraine, and I am going to do a couple of masking techniques today. Two cards. It's actually one technique. It's my favorite way to use masking paper, and I really like making cards like this, so I thought I would share it this morning. It's Sunday morning. This is kind of impromptu. I have to confess, I haven't made these cards already. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly because the opportunity presented itself and I went with it. So we're going to use the Wonderful World stamp set today and some of the paper that coordinates with that. This paper is called Wonderful World also. These are a celebration item that you can get with a $100 purchase until August 31st. So about 16 more days. It's really pretty paper. It's floral on one side and a softer pattern on the other side. The flowers are not too hard to cut out. It's really, really pretty. So we're going to use a piece of that today. And like I said, we're really going to focus on the masking paper. So Stampin' Up! Just started selling their own masking paper. By the way, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I always forget to introduce this part, and I live in New Hampshire. And I love to help people make cards, and I love to share information about card making. So the paper is 5 by 7, and we're going to use it on a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5. So for this technique, I'm going to cover up 2 portions of the paper, but I don't need to have this much paper to start with. So I'm going to cut about 2 inches off of this and set that aside for something else. Now, I do want the paper to be longer than the paper I'm working on because that's going to help hold it in place. It's going to adhere it to my grid paper. Now, this paper is really, really sticky on the back. And so if I put it directly on here right away, I tend to get some tearing or some lifting of the paper, or the whole adhesive part doesn't come off. So I'm going to show you a trick that I do. But first, I'm just going to rip this paper pretty much down the center. And I tried to get a little bit of variation in it. So I'm going to peel off the protective backing, and if I had long sleeves on, I would put this on my sleeve, but since I don't, I'm going to put it on my pants, and I'm rubbing it totally onto my pants so that it's smooth on there, and then I'm picking it up so that it will not be so sticky. I'm going to use my grid paper to make sure I have this square and straight, and I want to cover the edge a little bit. Okay, and I put that down. I'm not going to rub it super hard because, like I said, there's plenty of adhesive on that, and I don't want to make it too sticky. So now I'm peeling the back off this piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put it right onto my pant leg, rub it on there pretty good, and then pick it up. And then, let's see, I may end up turning this the other way, but I don't want it totally centered. I want it closer to one side than the other. Okay, so I just pulled 3 colors that are in the piece of designer series paper that we're going to use. We're going to put this under our piece. I cut a circle out of it because it won't show. So I picked out Old Olive, Orchid Oasis, and Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to put a big stamp over this when we're done. So I want to have some lighter color where the flower is going to go. So let's start with some old olive in the middle. And I have a piece of scrap paper here because I don't want to lay down real dark ink right away. I want it to be kind of light. So I'm just swirling that on. I pick up a little bit more ink and get a little off. Sorry if I'm shaking this table and camera. I'll try to go a little gentler. All right, now I'm going to try a little old olive. Something stuck. So you can see my brushes are well loved. I have washed these brushes, but you have to be sure you're not going to use them for a couple of days because they're going to take some time to dry out. Oops, sorry, I'm shaking that camera again. Okay, I'm going to put some green. Maybe I can hold the camera. I can't do two things at once. Okay, and now I want to bring in a little bit of the Orchid Oasis. It looks a little bit more splotchy on the camera than it is in real life. I don't know why. The blended colors tend to do that. Oops, I have something. There's dogs in this house. I think I have a dog hair on there. Okay. So some Orchid Oasis. And I'm going right over the other colors a little bit to kind of blend things in. Get just a little bit over here and just a little bit there, and I'm gonna blend in this Daffodil Delight a little bit more over everything. Okay, like I said, I did not do this ahead of time, so I don't know what this is going to look like, but we're going to give it a shot. So now I'm going to try to pull this paper up slowly and gently so that I do not. I'm going to use my scrap paper to hold that down because I don't know if I have ink on my fingers or not. You can see how sticky this is even though I put it on my pants. And we can use this piece again. I'm just going to stick it on top of, I stuck it to my ink pad just to hold it. Okay, and let's take it off the other side. Wow, this feels pretty sticky. And I'm taking it off at an angle intentionally. That seems to help it stick together, just like when you put painter's tape on woodwork and you pull it off at an angle. That seems to be better. Okay, let's put this over here. And this is the background that we've made. I think I want it to go that way with a little more room over here. So I really like that blended look, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that next. I have my Stamparatus here. Whoops, and I have some ink left on my Stamparatus from another project. This is one of those, the foam mats. I don't know if we carry these anymore, but I don't have the grid paper here with me, so I have that in there. I just cleaned it off with my chamois. I'm going to dry it. And I'm going to put this right up against that dark, the 1-inch line on both sides. You probably know about wrapping your Stamparatus magnets because they're so strong. You don't want them to bump and break. And then we're going to put this pretty flower. I don't know what kind of flower this is, but maybe some of you know. We're going to put the flower, I'm going to stamp it right on there. And my sticker is crooked. I did not do a good job putting my sticker on. So I hope I'm getting that flower pretty straight. I laid the flower where I want it. Now I'm going to pick it up with my plate, and I'm going to use the Orchid Oasis ink. And this is one of those textured stamps, and you can see that is a very juicy stamp pad. I have ink pad. I have too much ink on here. So I'm just going to take my Stamparatus, my chamois, and wipe some of that off. With the Stamparatus, you might not get that halo, but why not? Why not get it out of there just to be sure? Okay. I have a little bit more. I really did a job on this. Okay, now I'm going to try to lightly, keyword lightly, apply just a little bit more. Okay, make sure I have it everywhere I want it. And I'm going to put that on and apply some nice pressure to that. And lift it up, and there is a beautiful, that's a distinctive stamp. It does all that shading for us right there. Let's clean this off. I will use my stamp and scrub afterwards on this to get ink out of all those little nooks and crannies, but that's good for now. And then I thought I would see, I'm not sure whether this is going to fit or not, but I need a card that this would be a good sentiment for. You're so totally awesome. Yeah, I think that will fit. So we'll do that with, I think I'll do the green for that one. It does not look straight to me. So I'm going to show you how I try to check that out. And take this right out and hold it up and see how those words, I think they're okay. I think they're pretty good. I'm sorry, there's some noise out in the hallway. I hope that's not bothering you. There's a child having a bit of a hard time. You're so totally awesome. There we go. So that's going to be my card front. Let me clean this off. Put it over there and close the inks before I make a mess. And then we'll put this card together. And I'll show you the other one. So let me know if you've tried that technique before, or if you've used the Stampin' Up masking paper before. Oh, that's really pretty on that side too, isn't it? There's that side. And I'm going to do the purple. It's a beautiful day here in New England today. I hope you're having dry, sunny weather where you are. Although I guess we all could use a little rain. I'm going to put this down flat, even though I could pop it up. I feel like the texture, that blending gives it texture and a layer behind it. I don't need to pop that up, but I will put a couple of little gems on there. Some of these in color dots. You can see I've been using a lot of these. I really like this little size. Put one there. And I'll put one over here. I think I'll put one over there. So that's the first card with the blending. And that will dry. It won't smudge. It will dry up pretty good. And now this next one is a Christmas set I'm excited about. Let me just get a couple of these things out of the way. This is Mistletoe Magic. And I really love this mistletoe sprig, as well as the bow. I'm a sucker for these mixed fonts with the script and the printing. And it comes as a bundle. It has a different size bow than the bow stamp. It has some greens. It has another background. There's a pretty sample in the catalog or online with this. I think these are holly berries you can layer. And then it has a couple of outline dies. So I really like that set. So we're going to start with some masking paper on this. And I'm going to do the same kind of thing. Let me make sure this is straight. I don't want to pick up that purple ink, so I'm going to try to cover it up. And I want to move this over to the side a little bit more. Oh, and I didn't pay attention this one. It rolled up on me, but I got it. So we are going to, where's my other piece? We're going, on this one, we're not going to stamp directly on it. I'm going to color this and then put this on there. So I'm not going to go too wide. This is a little dangerous. I'm leaving some paper exposed. So you can put something like this over there just so you don't get ink on your hand, and then put it there. On this one, I'm just going to do a little green, a little old olive, and a little real red. I like cherry cobbler, and I'm using the cherry cobbler blend, but I don't have my cherry cobbler ink with me. Isn't that the story of your life? So again, I'm going to do, I was going to do green in the middle and a little red, but maybe I'll just do two colors, one on top and one on the bottom. I'm going to do the green on top. And because this is a rough edge with the tearing, it's okay if the little bit of it lifts just a tiny bit. You don't have to be too worried about that because it's not a straight, solid line that you're looking for. So there's my green. And now I'll get some red. And I'm going to use this brush I use for reds and yellows. I have a new set of blending brushes. I could break out a new set, but they're so clean and nice. I don't want to use them. But I will, one of these days. It's getting a little bit pinkish tint to it. Let's see if I can get it a little bit redder. So here's a real red. I think that will look red when it's a real red ribbon we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to do that. And now we'll peel this off the same way. I have my finger in the ink, so now both fingers in the ink. Gotta be careful where I put those. Okay, and I can still use this masking tape again, masking paper. It's still sticky. If you're just joining, I've used this paper once already, and before I used it at all, I put it onto my pants and tried to take some of the tackiness off by rubbing it against my pants. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to color this. I'm sorry you're not going to see my head for a minute because I'm going to sit down to be close enough to color this. So I'm going to use my bullet tip to do the stems. And I think this is the light. This is the light Old Olive. I usually start with the light and then add more with the dark. And now I'm going to use the brush tip to do these, and mostly just worry about getting the center, because I'm going to go around the edge a little bit with the darker. I love how smooth these blends color. And you always want to use your Memento ink when you're using your blends because that won't run. Just going to do a little darker on that. So I'm going to go over that line a little bit and then come around the edges. I'm going to have to go back and blend again, but it's going to blend in some. Just as it dries. I have a snoring dog on this video again. Let's get the, and it looks like it turns the whole thing dark, but it really won't. I am not a real precise colorer with blends. I don't worry about shading too much. My coloring is not a work of art. It's really just to get some color down in there. You could do this on watercolor paper and use your water painter. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the berries. I'm going to go light first. This is Cherry Cobbler. I don't think there's a real red blend. Oh, look, I missed a leaf. If there is a real red blend, I couldn't find it in my stash today. It's possible I don't have it with me. Let's go back, whoops, and get that leaf that we missed. Now I'm going to do a little bit of dark, and I'm going to go with the shading that Stampin' Up put in there. Where they have those little dots, I'm going to go over with the dark. They've done the hard stuff for me. So that's what I'm going to put there. I need to grab a glue dot to put on our bow. Let's get a glue dot on there. Okay, and now this is going to go over that. And I'm going to stamp a Merry Christmas. If you were to think, if that's too much white space for you, you could certainly cut out some of the other dies in here. This background one, I think it's probably mistletoe or another green plant, or some of these to put under there. But I am okay with that white space. I'm going to use the Merry Christmas. Put that on the front. You know, I could also put this card this way. No, I think I'll stick with my original plan. And this will be like mistletoe that somebody is standing under. I'm going to use my Stamparatus again since I have it right here. And I'll want that to come out nice and dark. Should I do it in black? Should I do it in old olive? I think I'm going to do it in old olive. I'm going to check and see if it looks pretty straight. So I have a line. Yeah, I think this might be a tiny bit low. There we go. So the plate comes out best straight up and straight at 90 degrees. You can get it in and out the best. Okay, so I know that's not glued down yet, but it's in the general vicinity. I think I'm actually going to put some dimensionals on the back of that. And there's our Merry Christmas. I'm going to try just another bit of ink, get it just a tiny bit darker. And that's what I love about the Stamparatus. You can do that. I actually think this would be really pretty, this background. I'm going to run it through my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine with that timeless, no, what's it called? Tasteful Textures, Timeless Textures, I forget. With a, it's not a real prominent kind of thing. I'll be right back. Okay, I don't have this one marked, so I don't know the name of this one, but I'm going to show it to you. Get these out of the way. Thank you for bearing with me and last minute changes. Oh, I'm glad you like it, MJ and Carletta. So this is the embossing folder. It just has that kind of random thing. I need to go get my plate. So with the thick embossing folders, you just use your big base, then your folder, and line it up with the line that's at the bottom of your folder. That's to help you get it straight. And then you just use your plate number 4 or your gray plate to roll it through. I'm going to try to do this without making everything go crazy. Okay, let's see. You always want to make sure you do your stamping before you run it through, because you'd never get a good stamp with that texture on there. But I like that. I think that will be good. Now if I can find my card base. So this is an old olive card base. I'm going to put this on. Whoa, good thing I checked. I was not opening right. Have you ever done that? Made a card that opens backwards? I must say that I have. So now I will take my dimensionals that are around here someplace. I know I brought some over. All right, where did the dimensionals go? Here they are. And I'm going to have to cut some pieces. Well, no, actually, I guess I won't. They're going to be okay. Put one there. So you can see with the blends, you never want to color directly on your card base because it will show right through when you open it up. That might be too big. I got to cut this one. Put some there. And I'll put this other one right there. And let's get something up here on the handle a bit. Okay, now I'll take all those papers off. I didn't pull over any red and green bling, but it might need a little bit of that. Okay. And that's going to go. So it's a pretty clean and simple Christmas card, but I love that masked swatch of color behind it and that texture. So that's one of the cards, and then this is the other one, a little bit wider swath and just flat. So it's really fun to use the masking paper. You can do a circle shape, you can do a square. There's all different ways you can do it. It's a lot of fun. The biggest tip is just remember to get rid of some of that stickiness before you put it on your paper, or you'll be very frustrated picking it up. So I hope you enjoyed these cards. I hope you'll give this technique a try, and I'd love for you to post your photos either here in the comments or over on Chat and Craft Creations. That DSP, MJ, is that the celebration one. I think you have told me you love this one too. The Wonderful World pack of paper and stamps. So yes, please show me what you make. I love to see it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments or shoot me a message or an email. And happy card making to you. And don't forget to mail some cards out. Send them out and share that joy. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.